Earlier this week, I had planned to produce a video covering the new Pac-Man Edition Atari 2600 Plus, the new yellow one with all the Pac-Man colored joysticks. And as I was prepping for that, I got word from my friends over at PlayOn, who are producing this new console for Atari, who said, "John, just so you know, something big is coming related to that device, and you might want to hold off a little." Well, this morning on my doorstep, yeah, something big showed up. Holy crap! We're gonna open this together right after this. This video supported in part by...
Playing VR, I tend to sweat. It gives me an edge. So King of Nerds happens to give me an edge too. Let King of Nerds give you the edge. Bye, King of Nerds.
Hey there, welcome back to GenXGrownUp. I am John, I am a GenXGrownUp. Thank you for taking the time to click on this video, and despite what the thumbnail may look like, that thumbnail is a picture I'm going to take in the future, because I'm planning on holding whatever's in this box up and going, hey, here's the thing. I don't know what it is yet. I have suspicions. So, I mean, what we know, look, we know it's the Pac-Man Anniversary Edition 2600 Plus press kit. The press, and it's what the box said, it's like 46 inches square or something. It's, I don't know what I've done to deserve access to a press kit like this. Maybe it's my endless driveling about Atari. Maybe it's my endless driveling about Pac-Man. Maybe it's some combination thereof. But ever since the announcement of this Pac-Man edition of the 2600 Plus, I've been excited because while you might not think at the surface level these two mesh, they are two things that I personally am very much a fan of and interested in. And I know some folks are like, oh, it's too garish, it's too bright yellow, and it's not like the 2600 I remember. All that could be true. And also, simultaneously, something else could be true. It's something that I'm very excited to take a look at, especially, we know the history that PlayOn has done with their press kits. They're very creative and thoughtful, and if I was designing it, I have a suspicion, but let's go to the table, open this up, and then, of course, we'll take a look at the actual hardware inside of this new Anniversary Edition Pac-Man 2600 Plus. Let's do it. They wouldn't tell me what's in here, and I'm glad, but you know, when you think about it, if you're going to be celebrating Pac-Man with an Atari, there are a finite number of right answers here, or maybe there's something I'm not thinking of, but, you know, I'm kind of thinking, is it a Pac-Man himself? Because this is, you know, this is perfectly square, so that would make sense. Inside would be perfectly round Pac-Man, so that's a thing maybe. You know, before they have done surprising things, the 2600 Plus initially looked very much like the console, and then we had that... the 400 Mini, which looked like an Atari cartridge. So who knows? Who knows? So they always get it right. They always impress me. So I don't know which way is right side up, but let's do this, I guess. Oh, only halfway there. All right. There's something on top. I still can't see it. Okay. All right. All right. Here we go. Oh, I can kind of see the corner. Ta-da! Look at that. Holy moly. Yep, it's a Pac-Man. I think it's probably the lid is upside. No, it's right side up. I'm not sure. Oh, so it's a closed Pac-Man. You know, for some reason I was thinking the wedge, but that's silly. You would be losing so much of this real estate. Let me turn this around so you can... I got to get it out of here, but yeah, so... Anyway. So right at the top, Atari X Pac-Man, the mashup. It's just perfectly smooth yellow Pac-Man head, emblem, character, what do you want to call it? Let's get it out of here and open it up. Okay, so we got it out. On the side, there are a couple little notches to help get your fingers up under there to lift the lid. So let's do just that. Let's lift this lid. Holy shit. Look, oh, how pretty is that? So look at there. Oh, so another little lift here. Okay, so this is a plate that's hinged. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. So we have the Pac-Man controller. We have the Bashful controller. Inky. We have, here's the cartridge over here. Oh, I don't know if you can see on the lid. You probably can see it as I lift it. There on the lid. It's got all the logos. Ooh, what's along the side here? Oh, these little pins? Oh, these are little pins. Oh, thank you, PlayOn. That's amazing. So these are receivers for the two controllers. Here's the console. Here's the cartridge. Let's get all of this out of here. This box is display worthy. What a great... I wasn't expecting this inside, this presentation. That's awesome. All right, let's get in. Everything unpacked here, and as far as I can tell, the only difference really, aside from that awesome box, between this package and the package that you will get at retail is this has one extra joystick and a couple of extra cables. So in the package you're getting, and we're going to cover really three main things. We want to look at the console, we want to look at the controllers, and we want to look at the game, and we're going to look at all that in a second. So for starters, in the package you're going to get the 2600 Plus Atari Anniversary Edition yellow console with all these Pac-Man accents and detail. You're going to get the yellow Pac-Man joystick. Now my bundle also came with Inky. I have the other joysticks. We're going to take a look at all of those in a second, the whole variety of 5. I have those just off camera here. For each of those, you're going to get a color-matched dongle, a pair of dongles for both DB9 plugging into the console and also for plugging into your computer or pretty much anything that accepts a USB controller, because these work great as a controller. If you just need one button and the 4 directionals, these work great. It's color matched here for Inky as well. You have the Bob DeCrescenzo Atari 7800/2600, I guess, Pac-Man double feature that has some hidden stuff in there we're going to look at in a minute. And then it comes with, as I said, an HDMI cable. There's a USB A-C charging cable for the controllers, as well as a power cable for the console. Let's, you know what? Let's save the console and the game for last. Let's start with the controllers. As I was preparing what I was going to talk about with the Pac-Man Edition 2600 Plus earlier in the week, one of the things that I realized I'm probably going to end up saying a lot is it's like the last one, but. So there are so many buts that differentiate this package from what you might have seen in a previous Plus console, whether it's the 2600 Plus or the 7800 Plus. There are differentiators here, and whether or not this is for you is going to come down to whether or not you're interested in the differentiators. One of them is of course, is the entire Pac-Man theming. So the controller is, now look, here is a previous 2600 Plus wireless controller that looks very faithful to the original controller. But what you have here is anywhere some Pac-Man theming could be thrown, whether it be from color, the variety of different options available for the different Ghosts and Pac-Man, or the signature orange dotted line around the perimeter has been replaced with dots, and the raised dots, I should say. They're not just flat. Maybe you can see that in the reflection. Dots, and then power pellets on the 4 cardinal directions here. And then at the top of the controller, where you have nothing on the standard CX-40 wireless, here they have this very CX-10-esque badge top that would either said Atari or would have said Sears, I guess, on a CX-10 way back in '77. So kind of a nod to that here on the controller. As a recap, so that I don't have to send you to another video if you have questions, if this is the first console you've looked at, how do these work? They're wireless, and we'll do it in a second. You plug that into the controller port, and then you pair them up here. It works flawlessly. This has an internal battery to charge it. You have a fire button here, and the sync button, as I said. It's going to feel just like the CX-40 did. So if you don't look down and notice that it's yellow and has different, I guess the dots around the perimeter are going to feel different to your finger if you, depending on where you lay your hand. So that's a little different, but functionally, I mean, the feel of this stick, I'm just checking here, I think they feel the same. So I don't feel any engineering changes probably were done to the interior or the functions of this stick. So if you liked this wireless CX-40 Plus, you're probably going to like this wireless CX-40 Plus. And I have to address the elephant in the room. Why are there 5 different colors of the same joystick? And the answer is because it's fun. There's no good reason, right? Any Atari we're looking at these days in a Plus console, they only have 2 controller ports. Maybe you have an 800 and you want to plug it in to play 4 players on something simultaneously, but it's worth mentioning that each one of these, now if you get the 2600 Plus Pac-Man, you're going to get the yellow one already. That's going to come in the retail package. But every controller is available if you just want a particular controller, or maybe you want all of them. Each one is going to come with the associated dongles in the matching color. Each one of them is going to have the charging cable. Each one is going to have an instructions for, I guess, how to sync it, instructions in there. And by the way, links to all of the things we're talking about here are down in the video description. If you decide that all of this or any of this or some of this is for you, many of those are affiliate links that will help GenXGrownUp out a little bit if you decide to purchase. But maybe because I'm the market for this, I'm the direct Pac-Man / Atari nerd, I want to show you a little glimpse into the future. So one of the things I work together with my buddy Paul is I love the Atari joystick, but I always enjoyed having a ball topper on it. And you might remember he made these ball toppers to go right on these sticks, which I love. They feel great, and another video I'll link up there if you want to see why it's such a big deal for me. But this ball topper, of course, because these are fully backward forward compatible, these work on anything, which is fine, but it doesn't match necessarily. It covers up the Ghost inside. So I want to share with you just a glimpse into the future, something to come. My friend Paul and I are working on a set of custom ball toppers specifically for these Pac-Man and Ghost, 5 different colors, refined to match this particular joystick specifically. We'll have a set of the 5 different ones. That's coming soon, not right now, but if you're going to have these up on display, why not go through the trouble of making them full out and putting these cool color-matched ball toppers? I just think that's really neat. I like these controllers. I'm happy to have all 5. I know the reality is nobody needs all 5 of these, but there's a lot of fun stuff that we don't need that you can enjoy having anyway. Let's move on to look at the console. Here again, we're going to have some caveats. It's just like before, except for these little changes, which of course makes it not the same as before. The Atari 2600 Plus Pac-Man Anniversary Edition is effectively, on the outside, is the original 2600 Plus, except for the obvious design changes and color differences and decoration and stuff, right? The shape and form factor and stuff. In the interior, it's effectively the same internals as the Atari 7800 Plus, which had upgraded internals over the 2600 Plus, and even newer firmware, which we'll see when we take a look at plugging in here in a second. Now, what does that mean to you as a game player? Well, it means a couple of things. First and foremost, it means that this will, like the previous 2 Plus consoles, will play Atari 2600 games and Atari 7800 games, both natively. Just plug them in, it dumps the cartridge, it plays. This one is supposed to be even more capable. The 7800 Plus was an improvement, then some firmware to it made improvements for things like dual controller types. Think Star Raiders, where you have a joystick and the numpad together. We had trouble with that. Those have been gradually fixed. Well, so the most is fixed here in this one. So if you're considering picking up one of them, maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, which one does the most? This is theoretically the most technologically advanced inside, but of course, it's very, very different from what you might have remembered, that your nostalgia kicks up when you think of an Atari. Very different. Some other questions I saw some people ask when I mentioned I was going to do this was, would you please compare it to the original? It's been a while since anyone's stood them side by side. So I will ask that you please not make fun of how dusty this old 2604 switch is. It's not my daily driver. It's not the one I use regularly, so it's been sitting in the corner. But the 2600 Plus is a 80% reduction in size to the original 2600. So you can see it there. Rotate it around. We'll put the 2600 up there. And here's the Plus, and you can see in width and in depth and even height. You can see it is a bit smaller. And really, this was for all these internal chips, whereas this is an emulation machine, so there's not a need for all that kind of space, and frankly, it fits better on a shelf. I know there are people who would love to have a box like this in full size. Keep asking, maybe they'll give it to us one day, but for now, this is the geometry of the current 2600 Plus consoles. And for good measure, let's take a quick look at the back of the unit that you probably couldn't see in any other shots. Here's the aspect ratio switch, 16:9 or 4:3. You have the 2 controller ports here. You have the AB difficulty for left player and right player. Here's the HDMI out, and over here is the power in. That's USB-C. Again, cable included. Not a power brick, you'll just provide that, but the cable is included to plug in there. Before we move on from talking about the physical console, then one more thing I want to shout out, which is the front of the device here, which rather than the brown wood grain, what we have is like a dark black wood grain with the backlit characters. It's going to be hard to see in my studio lights, so we turn down the lights and power it on to show you. So here it is in the off state, then when you power it on, if you're a Pac-Man fan, this will look pretty good shining from your entertainment center, yeah? Before I plug everything in and do a little play testing, I want to turn my attention to the packed-in game that's included with this console. One of the big selling features, and that is the Pac-Man double feature. Now this is the second time my friend Bob DeCrescenzo was the featured programmer, the developer for the Pac-In. The 7800 Plus had his Bentley Bears Crystal Quest, and now we have the Pac-Man double feature. And I've read some confusion about what is on this. Is this Todd Fry's original Pac-Man from '82? Is this a new version of Pac-Man on the 7800? Yes and yes. Both of those things are factual. So both of those things are true. This is a dip switch cartridge. So there's instructions in the manual. All you have to do is the first dip switch here. If you're looking to play the original 2600 Pac-Man, you just flip that down before you put the cartridge in. And what you're going to have is just like having an original cartridge. If in fact you throw the dip switch up before you insert it into the console, then you're going to have the double feature that includes the 7800 version and more and more and more, which we'll look at. The manual is a full color manual that includes instructions. There's those dip switch instructions I was just mentioning. Really nice detail about the full game. And when you see this version of Pac-Man, remarkable. I had a chance to speak with Bob and talk to him about how closely he copied the behavior of the Ghost. It might be the most accurate rewrite of a version of Pac-Man I've ever seen on any console. And we'll take a look at that when we play the game here. And then details about how to play the original Pac-Man is all in here. So you have all of that. And then the cartridge comes in this nice little sleeve. Now, I like these little sleeves. However, for Pac-In games, I would really like it if they would also include a full-size box. Now, I have the manual, but on the shelf, this is nice for convenience to keep the dust off of it, but it would be great to have a full-size box as well. Can't have everything. So here is the cartridge. This is the Pac-Man double feature. It's designed for 7800. Of course, it has the dip switch on the back we talked about. Incidentally, this is the PAL version of this cartridge. So looking at the cartridge is fun. Looking at the console is fun. Looking at these controllers is fun. But where the real fun comes in is when we plug it all together up to the TV and try it out. Let's do it. I had a couple of people ask me what firmware is running on this new Pac-Man Edition 2600 Plus. Do I have to update it? Well, it comes with the latest Pac-Man Edition, even 20142. So out of the box, you're not going to have to update it until maybe later there's an update. Now, in this instance, I have powered up the double feature cartridge in the original Pac-Man variety. So what you have here is the Todd Fry Pac-Man, and of course, you can just hit start. You're going to recognize this, I'm quite sure. So this is the original unmodified version of Pac-Man, and it's included as half of, well, I would say maybe a third of what's actually included on this cartridge for Pac-Man fans. Now you might notice it sounds a little slow if you're a North American ear. It's because this is a PAL cartridge, like I pointed out, which can be, the pitch of things can be a bit different. All right, so now let's restart it in that new updated 7800 edition. Now in this state, we have a lot more to see. There's a lot more going on. So you have the horsepower of the 7800 that's captured here. I had a chance to speak with Bob DeCrescenzo at PRGE earlier in the year, and we talked about some of the work he put into this, where he actually looked at the source code of the original arcade Pac-Man and integrated Ghost rules. Like, are they chasing? Are they in the scatter mode? What do they do? What is their attention? He even included bugs that exist in certain Ghost behaviors. So not only is the maze laid out the way you'd expect, but the Ghosts behave the way you'd expect. Why did no one do this before for home ports? I don't know, but leave it to Bob. So if you hit Game Select, it's going to open up the options that you have available. So number of players, of course, number of lives, how many times you want to get killed. Random mazes is a cool addition. Of course, where you want to start, what level you begin on is available, and what speed, normal or with that speed up chip. Let me just start a standard game and then show you some of the random mazes and a hidden secret that you can unlock on this particular page. Never before in the 7800, and now we have the original Pac-Man Again, it might feel or look a little slower than you might expect if you have North American eyes and ears. That's because it's the PAL version. North American version sounds a little faster. I got a chance to play that one already at PRGE. But the behavior of the ghosts, all the detail. Let's go get that cherry. Get one more. All right. When the ghosts come up out of the pen, they do not exit through the top. They're not allowed to, and Bob ensured that they don't. So this is a true Pac-Man experience, as close as you could possibly get without playing the original ROM, for everything that I have seen and experienced. Just really awesome. Because it's 7800 plus hardware, you can use the color black and white switch to pause, of course. You can unpause that. And then, let's jump back into this menu to look at some of the other options. So, random mazes. This is a cool addition. It's the original Pac-Man, but with algorithmically created mazes that still work, still fit in the space, but are different. Look at this. The original Pac-Man never had that. But we have it available now. And every time you start, it's going to be some different layout. That adds an extra twist. The ghosts are still following the rules the ghosts follow, but you have new additional mazes to extend the life of Pac-Man. So if you've memorized certain things to do in this game, this is going to throw you for a loop in the best possible way. I mentioned you had the speed up mode. Let's turn that on. I'll turn random mazes off for a second. Now you might know that this is a chip that was available from Namco that were sold to arcade owners that would breathe new life into Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man and some other games to speed it up. But the ghosts go the same speed, but Pac-Man is supercharged. And it changes the game completely. You are so overpowered. And in the best possible way, again, it's a way to extend the life of this game, find more in it than just what you remember at the arcade, maybe. And he packed all of this into this game. But I mentioned there were secrets. Hold on. If you come to the main menu and you take that difficulty switch and you go, oh, what is this? Now, all the things I just showed you can be applied to the arcade version or a rewritten version of the original Todd Fry Pac-Man. So let's put it on random mazes, yes? And we'll start on cherries. It's not really cherries, you know, it's the original Pac-Man. So, different maze. Same old Pac-Man. You'll notice it's even reoriented to fill the screen better and use the entirety. The original Pac-Man kind of stopped about here and used that top 3/4 of the screen. Again, if you enjoy this version, some people really do, I think it's finally time to give this Pac-Man a breather and just enjoy it for what it was or what it is. But Bob breathed some new life into it just by giving it new mazes, which I think is pretty remarkable. And you can access all that right from this main menu. Now you might say, John, that's all good and well for the Pac-In game, but what about modern games, modern homebrews? Well, how about David Crane's brand new Rescue from Poseidon's Gate that's just now releasing? Yeah, powered it up, plays just fine. Off we go. With Poseidon's Gate, let's grab some air before we go. We got to catch these little fish. We got to shoot these little, got him. Shoot these other sea creatures. Oh, electric eel, let him go by. Maybe I can get him, I don't know. Nope, let's keep moving. He offers buoyancy. You can stand on these little guys. Uh-oh, crabs. Get them. Get the crabs. Get them. Got him. Jellyfish. Woo, he got me. Yikes. I even thought it would fire up Champ Games, John Champeau's new Spiders arcade. And yeah, absolutely. Let's try standard one player and check it out. Running like a champ on the 2600 plus, specifically Pac-Man Edition. Ah, spooky spider. Can you believe this is a 2600 game? And the Plus is just taking it in stride, man. They've done so much to improve these Plus consoles in the intervening years since the first one came out. And a great game. I always loved this in the arcade, and when I found out Champ Games was going to make a version, I'm like, really? I didn't think anybody else knew about this game. When I talked to John at PRGE, he said the same thing. He's like, I didn't know anybody else knew about it either. So is the Pac-Man Edition Atari 2600 Plus right for you? You know I can't tell you that, right? So it comes down to choice. There is choice. As I mentioned, the internals and firmware of the Pac-Man Edition of the 2600 Plus are, thus far to date, the most mature. You have the form factor of the 2600 Plus, you have the guts of the 7800 Plus, plus you have updated firmware beyond what's even out on the 7800 Plus to give you the most compatibility across the most games possible, including, as you saw, so many new release games, the great pack-in that's there, but maybe this particular console just doesn't speak to you because it's the wrong color, which I understand, in which case, like I said, you have options. You've got the original 7800 Plus, which effectively is this console's internals. You have the original 2600 Plus, while the internals are a little dated, still has seen regular updates to its software, so it's well beyond where it was when it released. And then you have all of those cool joysticks, which even if I didn't want which I do want the console and now have the console, even if I didn't want the console, I could see myself wanting those colored joysticks because of the theming that are on each of them and how they are tuned to someone who is specifically a fan of Pac-Man and vintage Atari. All of that is to say, if you like collecting, you don't need me to tell you whether or not you want this. If you're looking for the right one for you, take those factors into consideration. What certainly Atari and PlayOn have delivered here is an interesting and fun logical progression of their Plus console line. Now, what might they do next, though? Look, we just saw the Intellivision Sprint. We don't know what the next Plus is. Could it be a handheld? Could it be a Lynx? Could it be a Jaguar? Who knows? But certainly, Atari is making moves and they're doing interesting things in the market. And this is just another example of that. And just stoked to be able to share with you not only what they've done, but maybe where they're going and what's coming. Look, I'm going to throw links to other Pac-Man and Atari coverage I've done recently over my shoulders here and here that you can click on to watch right now. I certainly hope you found something to enjoy in this video, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.